Guys, can we hang out?
Yes, I need to spill everything.
Okay, come over.
Numa, my friend আসছে।
So in the last three episodes, we have covered boys, friendships, and now I think it's time for us to move on to a deeper topic. How about we discuss a little bit about our childhood and like growing up with our parents, our relationship with our parents, how those things affected us. I think that's what we should focus on this episode.
This is gonna be a deep one, তাহলে like চিন্তা করে আমার ঘাম ছুটে গেছে রে ভাই।
কোত্থেকে শুরু করব কোথায় শেষ করব
I know because it's like with friendship there's like an end. Oh, after this everything worked out. But with family and parents, it's always such an ongoing একটা জিনিস. Like you have your good moments, bad.
Obviously it's not something you can cover at a ছোট একটা episode. Like I remember when I was very young, I would face a lot of conflicts with my dad, and those were not very pleasant. He was not around a lot, and
দুধ কিনতে গেছিল।
who knows? I wouldn't know. So he wasn't around a lot, and I think that really shaped my perspective on things, basically. And I'm sure you guys have like your fair share of experiences with your parents.
See, my dad was a perfect angel, so I have nothing bad to I think if anything I have trauma because he was such a perfect angel. So আমি আসলে এখানে তোমারটাতে কিছু বলতে পারবো না। But I completely agree with you. I feel like relationship with my mom, it definitely has had a very big impact on just how I approach life. And my experiences for the majority part of growing up, they weren't really pleasant with my mom. The way I see it is my brain, my mind, my ideas, they were like wet cement. ওইখানে তুমি যেই ছাপটাই দিবা, it stays, you know? As opposed to right now, where I have a more like concrete idea of myself, of the world around me. So I'm not as easily influenced by what she says or does. But back then, she was my idol, like সে যেটা বলবে আমি সেটা শুনবো, like that is how I'm supposed to do things. So যখন she used to say these super mean things to me, তখন it stays with you. And তো এখন যত ভালোই রিলেশনশিপ হোক না কেন আমার মার সাথে, ওই ছাপটা যে ওয়েট সিমেন্টের মধ্যে আছে, ওইটা তো it doesn't go away, you know?
We were just kids তখন, and like obviously I've had এরকম experiences with my mom because like as I said, my dad wasn't around, so she was the only person I had at one point because I was only living with her. And when you have this one person who's working so hard, raising you and making me a better person, so you take everything very seriously. From like jai tar mukh theke ber hobe, you take everything very seriously. And it wasn't always messed up. I've had a pretty good relationship with my mom, but at a certain point I don't know, it just gets very conflicted. The relationship or just communication, whatever, with your mom, it just gets very weird, and that's what happened to me. So there are some things. Obviously, everything she's gonna do is like আমার ভালোর জন্য, but there are stuff that she's gonna say that it's not gonna sit right with me, and then the stuff that I would say would not sit right with her. And it started getting to me. The way I started seeing things, or the way I started viewing everything else around me, that had a lot. Even like my perception of myself. Because একটা কথা বলে দিল, obviously it's not gonna be true. Maybe রাগের মাথায় বলে দিছে. But
Yeah.
like it wouldn't occur to her যে ওটা that's gonna stay with me for the rest of my life. And there were like hundreds of situations like this. So that kind of build up hote. I
Yeah.
think you guys would agree on this too.
100%. I think one of the biggest issues I have with my mom, and I've had very open conversations with her about this, is it's no secret. Like, I heavily suffer from like body image issues. And if I were to like trace it back to like the starting point, it would be my mom. Because to me, na, as a girl or like as a person, you don't just wake up one day and you look in the mirror and you think, oh, maybe I'm ugly. No, like society or someone, an external voice tells you, "Jin, you're ugly." And
It
this
starts
is
from
a,
your own house.
it really does. And I remember this is very trivial একটা জিনিস, but the reason আমি এই ইনসিডেন্টটা তোমাদেরকে বলছি is to show you যে সে কত nitpick করতো জিনিস। তো you can just
Mm.
assume যে আরো bigger জিনিসগুলোকে সে কত কথা শুনিয়েছে আমাকে এটাতে। So we were গাড়িতে চড়ছিলাম, like just randomly একটা random দিনে। She looks at me and she goes, Numa, তুমি না এখন থেকে every time you're in the car and we are going anywhere, তুমি তোমার fingers গুলোকে use করে you're gonna press the bridge of your nose repeatedly. কেন? So that over time my nose becomes smaller. I didn't even know my nose was big to begin with. I still don't think my nose is big. Like এখন, like I said, like হাসতেছো as if you agree with my mom. But my I think my nose is very normal sized,
It
okay?
is.
Thank you.
I don't know. Is it just me or like everyone else is like everyone's parents like obsessed with a choto nak? And then every time
Mm-mm.
my dad would see me, he wouldn't see me a lot. Let's be honest, he wouldn't see me a lot. বছর এক দুইবার দেখতো, and he would like do this, and I'm like, I have the exact same nose as yours. What? You have no business doing this. And he's like, nah, it's like কেমন জানি.
And you know what pisses me off about my mom? So another thing my mom had an issue with, I think it was my teeth. I'm not sure whether it was my mom or just other family members. You know what? I think it was definitely other family members in this one. I will give my mom grace. It kind of I was very excited about my 10th birthday. Okay?
Mhm.
And it was going to be a big party. I invited a lot of my friends. I think both of you guys were invited. Anywho, আমার পার্টির 2 দিন আগে আমার একটা relative আমার বাসায় আসে, and the way my family is structured is we are like this with all like mama চাচা ওদের সবার সাথে। তো আমার একটা ওই ফ্যামিলি মেম্বার বাসায় আসে এসে আমাকে জিজ্ঞেস করে, are you excited for your birthday? I'm like, হ্যাঁ, blah blah blah. And then she goes, হ্যাঁ নুমা, তুমি যখন ওই পার্টির দিন যখন ছবির জন্য হাসবা, দাঁতটা বন্ধ করে ঠোঁটটা বন্ধ করে হেসো, ঠিক আছে? I was turning 10. Okay. Again, I had no idea there was anything wrong with my teeth. And this woman tells me that. And on what was supposed to be a really like joyous day for me, I was so excited about it. The whole time I was thinking, I can't smile with my teeth. I shouldn't smile with my teeth. And so for the next 2 days, all that excitement just disappeared because I was so obsessed with like, oh, ছবিগুলোতে ভালো আসতে হবে এই সেই. And I think that was the day when I started thinking, oh, there is the nose issue, and now there is the teeth issue. What's next?
We're doing our parents for now. Don't even get me started on our relatives, bro. All my life, Sneha, ojan kamao. You think a fuck ass. You think a guy calling me fat is ever gonna make me sad? It started with my family. It started with my family. Uh, there would be comments like, Sneha, ojan kamao. Sneha, এটা লাগাবা, এটার সাথে আমি প্যাক বানাই দেই, এটা সুন্দর করে লাগাবা, you're gonna get 10 shades lighter. All my life I've had those comments, and like সবসময় everyone's trying to change my skin tone. That's one thing I grew up with. And my mom, যেটা বললাম যে গায়ে লাগতো কেন, because she wouldn't directly say যে এটা চেঞ্জ করতে হবে, এটা চেঞ্জ করতে হবে, but her actions like একটু ফেস প্যাক লাগাও, এটা একটু করো। She wouldn't say যে হ্যাঁ তুমি কালো or something. She wouldn't say shit like this. She's like একটু ফেস প্যাক লাগাও, এটা করলে চেহারাটা আরো ব্রাইট লাগবে। চেহারাটা ব্রাইট লাগবে।
আমার না
But
আসলে
yeah.
internalized racism. That's what this is. And it
Yeah.
just
Well, that's like the entirety of Bangladesh, honestly.
that genuinely
Yeah.
আমার না কয়েক সময় আমি চিন্তা করি, you know, like when we complain about our mom, like আমরা যখন বলছি যে ফ্যামিলি এটা করেছে এটা করেছে, but I think it just goes to show it's not just আমার এই রিলেটিভটা একটা villain, আমার মা একটা villain. No, it's just I think Bengali people are programmed.
Yeah.
And we're not going to change the society একদিনে এখন আমার মার সাথে I'm not gonna lie, I have a much more like transparent relationship. I tell her the most out of pocket things. We bitch about our family members, all of those things, you know. She is a really good friend to me at times. But even in those moments, it's very hard to forget কি হয়েছে এত বছর ধরে, for 18 years of my life, what she put me through. You just don't forget it like that. Just because তোমার 2 মাস ধরে you're telling your mom all your boy lore and you're acting like best friends doesn't mean you forget all those 18 years of
Yeah.
like what body shaming, like nose shaming. আর আমার তো আমি acne ব্যাপারে তো বললামই না. It's just my relationship with my mom is very nuanced. That's the one word I will use.
Really feel you on this one because it's the same. Like my relationship with my mom right now, it's so much better. Obviously, I've always loved her, and এখন I think we can communicate better. Like we would sit in calls for hours and like we would talk, blah blah blah. But the যে পুরান experience গুলো it never leaves you.
But
So
one thing that I think about a situation, যে এখন যে your relationship is better with your moms, I would say, is it better because like they are trying to be better, but আমরা বড় হয়েছি, or is it because there's distance? You know? Because
uh
Because আমি তো এখানে like বাংলাদেশে ঘন ঘন ফেরত আসি. At first, I was like, okay, this is improving আমার relationship-টাও, right? Because যখন আমি first semester গিয়েছি, everyone was so nice to me. But তারপরে I came back and এখন তো we are together. And এখন I realize whatever progress we did make আগে, it's all একটা like এটা ছলাবা বলতে গেলে, it was all like আমি দূরে so মেয়ের সাথে নাইস হয়ে থাকতে হবে, it's like মায়া একটা, it's not anything real, I would say.
I fully agree 100%. I mean, এটাই
yeah.
I keep saying to me and my mom, we work better when there is like 7 continents in between us. বুঝছো? Because every time I go back to Bangladesh, আমি যখন যাই, I'm very excited because I'm like, you know what? For the last couple of months, আমার মার সাথে ভালো সম্পর্ক হচ্ছে. And then I go back to Bangladesh and I'm like, I've matured, আমার তার সাথে আর fights হবে না, এই সেই। It's something about the বাংলাদেশের ঢাকার polluted air যে যখনই আমার নিঃশ্বাসটা আমি নেই আমার সিস্টেমে যায়, I turned into that very angry, very vicious at 15, 16-year-old যে সারাটাক্ষণ ওর মার সাথে ঝামেলা লাগতো। And আমার মাও মানে এমনি যখন ফোনে কথা বলতেছি, ও জানু, ও বেবি এসব করতেছে, but when she sees me, she's like, আরে কুত্তার বাচ্চা। Like, stop. Like, it's just all the progress. I agree with Jerfa so much. Like all the progress that we make, it goes back to zero. And I hate the version of myself that I turn into when I go back to Bangladesh and when I have these interactions with her, because I'm like, this is not me. This is not the person I want to be, you know? I want to be someone who has processed all her trauma and is like better now.
That is actually so real because I just thought back to the time when I remember even তখন আমি বাংলাদেশে ছিলাম because obviously Australia আসার পরে তো I haven't been to Bangladesh. But আমি তখন I think I wasn't with her. I was visiting একটা রিলেটিভের বাসা and I was staying there for a while. Hadn't talked to her. But then মাঝে মাঝে we would call and we would yap so much. And I'm telling her, Allah, এটা হয়েছে, এটা হয়েছে. She's like, oh my God, that's amazing. The next day I would see her and tell me why আমার সাথে সে ঝগড়া বাজায় দিবে আমার সাথে ঝগড়া করার কি হলো আচ্ছা সে ঝগড়া বাজাবে and then oh my god the person I become I am relating too hard with the both of you because I don't know I just say very mean stuff and it just অনেক তাড়াতাড়ি escalate হয়ে যায় and I don't want to be like this with her. I love her so much and I don't want to be mean to her but in the heat of the moment মুখ থেকে অনেক কিছু বের হয়ে যায় and then পরে I sob later on. I was like why was I saying all this to my mom? We were literally like laughing আগের দিন কলে and আজকে we're doing this. So I have a feeling when I go back to Bangladesh it's gonna happen again.
I feel like it will. It will. First এ ১-২ দিন খুব লালন পালন করবে। আল্লাহ আমার সোনা পাখি বাংলাদেশে ফেরত আসছে। যা খেতে চাও বলো সব খাওয়াচ্ছি। And then day 3 I kid you not আমার মনে আছে আমি ১ম বার বাংলাদেশে আসছি। আমার তো ১ম ২ দিনই কি অ্যাশ আমার লাইফে। প্রিন্সেস ট্রিটমেন্ট 24/7 48 hours later I remember আমার ইউএসএ তে একটা মামি ছিল। আমি আমার মামিটাকে ফোন দিয়ে বলছি, "আমার টিকেটটা কি কোনোভাবে আগানো যাবে? I think I'm done." So yeah, that's and it's just like I keep saying, Jay Meher, I'm like, you know what? She was very mean to me at some part of my life. I'm not gonna be that person. I'm gonna break the cycle. I'm gonna break that generational trauma thing, and I will be nice to her. But the words that come out of my mouth, like, I kid you not, I like saying to no one can piss me off the way my mom can piss me off. Like, she knows exactly which nerves to hit. Like, ওই যে একদম মনে আমাকে কিউরেট করছে তো আসলে একদম সে জানে পুরা চিট কোড গুলা কোথায় where it hurts. No one can trigger me like my mom. Hi.
I actually have a interesting theory on this. So when I'm in a call, এত distance আমাদের মধ্যে, and when I'm in a call, I think I genuinely believe that I am talking to my mom. But when I am in front of her, I see the woman who was saying shit to me when I was a kid. So I think that kind of triggers a lot of like the anger or the behavior that we do. Because calling, I'm not looking at, I'm just listening to all the sweet talk, and I'm like, yeah, my mom. And then Shamne, when I see it, the sweet talk doesn't work, and then Tokun, I get pissed, and then Tokun, I say shit, that pisses her off, and then she would say shit back, and like it's the same situation again.
আরেকটা জিনিস আমার মার সাথে যেটার জন্য আমার সম্পর্ক ভালো থাকে যখন আমি দূরে থাকি, the moment I hear the first couple of words of her like approaching a territory that I do not want to think about or discuss right now, I'm like, you know what, I ain't got the time or energy for it, cut the call. My favorite thing to do is cut the call.
Oh
No,
god!
nothing.
Oh my god!
আমারটা it's a bit different from তোমাদের এই traumas গুলা I feel like তোমরা যেমন বললা তোমাদের body image issues ওগুলা I feel like ওই দিক দিয়ে my mom was a bit better because she was proud যে আমি গোলু মোলু ছিলাম. Her theory was যে আমি মানে মেয়েকে এত খাওয়াচ্ছি মানে তার মানে আমি ভালো করে রাখছি তাই ও এরকম গোলু গোলু টাইপের. So যখনই কেউ relatives রা কিছু বলতে আসতো আমার weight নিয়ে she would be like কেন আমি ভালো করে খাওয়াচ্ছি আপনার বাচ্চাগুলা তো চিকনা আপনি খাওয়ান না এরকম টাইপের. So ওই দিক দিয়ে she had my back. But প্রবলেমটা হচ্ছে she was like okay আমি একটা স্টোরি দিয়ে বুঝাই. এটা গ্রেড I think 1 এর কথা and I was chosen একটা বাংলা কবিতা আবৃত্তি কম্পিটিশনের জন্য, রাইট? আর তখন এটা সবার ক্লাসের সামনে হবে. And then but she was like এটা তুমি অ্যাক্ট করে করে করবা. So আমি নতুন নতুন পায়রা করবো. So I'd be like নতুন নতুন পায়রাগুলি something something অ্যাক্ট করে করে. And I was like no, I'm not embarrassing myself like that. তারপরে ভাই আমাকে যে মারটা দিছিল, it's like you say no for one thing and you're done, gone. Poof. But the story had a good ending because পরে I think I did well ওই কবিতা ওখানে. So তারপর I was like ও আচ্ছা যেটা বলছিল হয়তো বা ঠিকই বলছিল. But ওই মারের ট্রমাটা তো এখনো আছে. So it's like অনেক কিছুই that she says ends up being good for me. But যেমনে ওইখানে যায় ওই পয়েন্টে, that is what's not right.
Yeah.
I think I agree with that কারণ এটাই না আমি মেহের তখন বললো না যে you feel so bad, you feel so guilty. আমার না এরকম অনেক সময় হয় যে ভাবো in the moment আমি খুব react করি and I'm like I hate you blah 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 তুমি কেন এটা করছো পরে maybe a few days or some time goes by and down the line I'm like oh no she was right আসলে or whatever she said when she predicted the right thing all of that and I feel bad because obviously she's gonna know more than me. She has been on this earth longer. But I just wish the process of like
Yeah.
explaining it to me or like telling me, "Je, eta koro, eibhabe koro." I wish that wasn't the way she did it. I don't mind her telling me what to do. I just wish she had the better way of breaking it to me. Instead of just ordering me around, maybe like sit me down and make me understand কেন you're telling me the way it is. কারণ আমার মার একটা জিনিস ছিল যে আমি যদি বলতাম কেন সে বলতো কারণ আমি বলেছি That is not,
Bengali moms.
yeah, that is not an explanation. You're supposed to be like, কারণ এটা করলে এরকম 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 হবে. No, what is কারণ আমি বলেছি? Of course, as a rebellious teenager, I would be like, oh bro, fuck what you had to say. You know, I'm gonna live my life my own way. Because I didn't know any better. Like, I am super grateful for my mom, even though it might seem like, oh, এত সমস্যা, এই সেই. I'm actually right now very chill with my mom. To put it into perspective, আমি আমার মার সাথে কালকে 2.5 ঘন্টা ধরে কথা বলছিলাম, and she knows all about this podcast and what I do with it. So she was asking me, Jay, how's your podcast going? And I remember telling her, Jay, oh yeah, it's going great. Like episode 3 went live yesterday, and we're gonna film episode 4 tomorrow. And she goes, what was episode 3 about? And I say, oh, you know, like friendship things, all of that happened in like grade 5, 6, you know, she knows all the drama. She goes, oh, okay. You know, for episode 4, you guys should talk about parenting. And I'm like, oh my god, like ma, like you are so spot on, because we were like already we had discussed talking about parenting for episode 4, but I'm like, she's so spot on. And then she goes on to tell me, Jay, and you know what, when episode 4 gets uploaded, send me the link. I want to see তুমি আমাকে কিভাবে ধুইছো ওই এপিসোডে. So this is how chill she is. So I don't feel bad that I'm saying these things about her, because she knows আমি তার ব্যাপারে এসব বলবো. So, but yeah, that's my mom.
On the other hand, যদি আমার মা even gets like a wisp of what I'm doing, what I'm saying এইখানে, আমি next episode আর থাকতে পারবো না, is what I'm saying.
Now, Amata, if she finds out, my mom doesn't know it yet. Do I plan on telling her kono ekdin? Sure. She's gonna ask a lot of questions first day, I think, but she will be chill with it last day. But the process to get to the chill part is gonna be tough.
So sometimes she is like eto friendly, eto chill, and sometimes the first thing that comes out of her mouth when she sees me is, এত মোটা কেমনে হয়ে গেলা, ওয়েট গেইন কেন করেছো, একটু খাওয়াটা কমানো উচিত. তো yeah.
Oh, that's my mom. She would call me Akono. She would see me video call and she's like, তোমার কি ওজন বেড়ে গেছে? তোমার কি এখন এরকম হয়ে গেছে? তুমি এখন মুখটা ফোলা ফোলা লাগতেছে। একটু দেখাও তো এখন কি অবস্থা তোমার? আম্মু!
I know তুমি জানো সেই দিন একটা ফানি জিনিস হয়েছে আমার মার সাথে. তো আমি আমার মাকে বলতেছিলাম যে মা দেখো, I've been eating really clean এই last on 1 মাস 1.5 মাস, বুঝছো, I've been working out. I was actually eating my lunch when I called her, and she was like, তুমি কি খাচ্ছ? I'm like, oh, my salad, you know, I really like my salad, blah blah blah. And she goes, Numa, এসব করার দরকার আছে? আমরা তো সবাই একদিন মরেই যাব, তাই না? একটু খেয়েই মরি, তুমি কেন কষ্ট করতেছো এত, একটু খাও. I'm like তখন না আমার মনে হচ্ছে আমি ফোনটা আছাড় মেরে ভাঙি, because like what do you mean, for 18 years of my life the only thing I've heard, actually that's a lie, 5-6 বছর ধরে the only thing I've heard is you need to lose weight, you need to lose weight, diet করো এই সেই. And এখন when I'm doing what you have been telling me to do for all these years, you're like, একটু খাও না, তোমাকে এইভাবে সাফার করতে দেখে আমার কষ্ট লাগছে. I'm like, okay bro. God.
That's the same with my mom too. Oh my god. Bhai, I swear to God, we are living the same life. Because যেভাবে আমাকে কল দিয়ে বলবে মুখটা ফোলা ফোলা লাগছে, মুখটা এরকম লাগছে, তুমি মোটা হয়ে গেছো, হ্যান ত্যান। আবার even if she like finds out কোথা থেকে যে I'm not eating well, or like একটা একবেলার খাবার মিস হয়ে গেছে, তোমার কি আরো টাকা লাগবে? আমি কি আরো টাকা পাঠাবো তোমাকে? I was like, আমি খেতে ভুলে গেছি, তোমাকে টাকা পাঠাবো, তুমি খাবার নিয়ে কষ্ট করবা না, হ্যাঁ খাবার তুমি খাবা, ভালো ভালো খাবার খাবা। লাইক ওকে, হোয়াট ডু ইউ ওয়ান্ট? কি করবো, আমি খাবো নাকি খাবো না? হোয়াট ডু
I
ইউ
know.
ওয়ান্ট?
One thing I love about my mom, because I think I've been hating on her too much. So one thing I love is, I personally am really hard on myself when it comes to like not having a boyfriend. You know, one of the things my mom and I have bonded over after I moved here for college was I would cry to her about not having someone in my life. And I would be like, Ma, I can't find someone. Shay, like, I feel like I'm going to end up alone. কোনো ভালো মানে কোনো ছেলে পাচ্ছি না. And she is weirdly very encouraging when I am very hard on myself and when I feel very pessimistic about my love life. So my mom would literally like walk me through it, and she would be like, you know what, there is someone out there for you. আল্লাহর উপর ভরসা রাখো. blah blah blah. She never tells me to put myself out there or like, oh, start dating people, start looking at people. No, she's more like, you will inshallah find someone. It's fine. Ekhon pachna, that's fine. Enjoy this moment. Just stop being so hard on yourself because I am so like এখানে একদম মানে কনফিডেন্সই নাই আসলে এত underconfident. I mean genuinely I think I'm gonna turn into like an old cat lady and live in my own একটা বাসায়. And she's like, no, you will find someone. Which is weird because all my life, I think in way different ways, she told me like I was unlovable, but I had to fix some things about myself in order to be lovable. So Ekon, she's like, you know what? Someone's gonna come along and they're gonna love you exactly the way you are. You don't have to change anything about yourself, and it's nice. It's nice to bond with her over these, even though it sounds silly, like, oh, chelera, you. But it's nice, to tell her, oh, ma, like, I have a crush on this boy, and this boy rejected me, or whatever. She knows all my boy lore, by the way, which, yeah, I never
Hmm.
thought this would happen because if you guys
As she
know
should.
me,
As she should.
as she should. But if you guys know me and my relationship with my mom back in middle school, she was very like strict about not dating and very anti boys. So we খান থেকে এখানে আসা where I openly tell her about any boy in my life. It's nice. It's really nice.
Also, I think the reassurance that you get from your mom, it's not like, oh, put yourself out there, but like it's all something like, oh, সব ঠিক হয়ে যাবে, you're gonna find someone, it's gonna be fine. I think deep down we're all just those little girls who like never got to hear these when we were kids. And like এখন, I genuinely believe, you know how Shurute you put out the wet cement theory? When it comes to your mom, it never really goes away. Like you could be 30, 35, and she could be sitting there and telling you something, and it will still leave a imprint on you. It could be good or bad, and sometimes it's just, when you're talking to your mom and you're having a good time, you just end up being that little girl. And yeah, I've been feeling that a lot with my mom. Jerfa, did you have a similar experience recently, Ercom, with your mom?
Honestly, no. See, unlike you two, I wouldn't say that আমার কোনো specific uh ভাবে ঠিক হয়েছে বা কিছু একটা হয়েছে. All progress that I thought যে হচ্ছিল, it went down the
Hmm.
drain recently. So আসলে জানি না কি বলতে হবে এখানে.
আসলে আমাদের কি করা উচিত জানো মেহের? In order to make Jerifa not feel bad for herself, we should visit Bangladesh so আমাদের সবার relationship is at the same
হ্যাঁ,
level with our
exactly.
mom.
Don't worry, কয়েকটা মাস তারপর বাংলাদেশে যাব, সবাই দেখবি রাত 2টা 3টার সময় কল করে, the three of us like, এরকম করছে, আমার মা এরকম করছে না, and then আমার মা এরকম করছে, and then আমরা ঝগড়া করবো রাত 3টার সময় কল দিয়ে. This is what's gonna happen.
Do you guys
Mark my
think
words.
আমাদের মাদের in some very weird messed up way like আমাদের সাথে ঝগড়া করা is their love language?
Yes,
Oh,
because we look like our dads. Who said that? Who said that?
That was so funny. Oh my god.
I think my mom's biggest problem is that I'm my father's daughter. I think ওইটাই তার গায়ে বাঁধে যে কেন?
ওইটাই, ওইটাই. I
Oh
am a
my
carbon
god.
copy of my dad. নুমা তো বললামই না, ছবি কেটে লাগাই দিছে চেহারার মধ্যে. So So yeah, I think our moms just love doing this because we look like our dads.
So speaking of dads, I just feel like একটা like incident with my mom, Jeta, I feel like I will carry that for the rest of my life. I know we talk about all these body image issues, HA, but like now I know better. এখন আমার মা যদি কিছু বলে আমার সম্পর্কে আমার অত গায়ে লাগে না because I have established we boundaries আমার মাথার মধ্যে যে সে যা বলবে এটা directly আমি personally নিব না. Maybe it's just her projecting a reflection of her values. They don't have to necessarily be mine. You can grow past those things. But one thing that stuck with me, I think, would be my mom and her behavior after my dad passed away. Because তখন না, I feel like আমাদের relationship এর rock bottom. যদি আমি lowest point চিন্তা করি এই last 20 বছরে, that would be it. And the reason is, I think, and I have so much sympathy for her, Uishama. Of course, she lost her partner, she lost her husband, all of that. She was grieving. But, like, so was I. you know? And when I used to tell other people about the meanest of things that she was doing or saying to me, they would be like, এটা তো তোমার মা, like তোমার মা তো ওই যে খুব কষ্ট হচ্ছে, একটু তাকে like give her grace. That's what they would be like, to give her grace, she's going through a lot. And that is such a messed up thing to say, because I'm like, okay, give her grace. She is going through a lot. She just lost her husband, but I lost my dad too, you know? I'm grieving too. He wasn't just like your person, he was my person too. And so it's such a fucked up thing to say, Jay. It's almost as if her grief is more important than mine. And আমার
Yeah.
জিনিস হচ্ছে গিয়ে, sure, I didn't lose my husband, but I don't think if I did, I would treat my own kids the way she treated me. And maybe it had something to do with, maybe she didn't have better like coping mechanisms or something. I don't know. But during those like char pach mas, I didn't feel like she was my mom.
Mm.
And it's so weird because এরকম এত একটা vulnerable time এ, who's gonna understand you? It's gonna be my brother or my mom, the people who have actually lost someone too, তাই না? No one else will possibly have even 0.5% idea of what I'm going through. ওই moment, the person that you're supposed to rely on the most, when they turn out to be your biggest op, you just feel like the world is like closing in around you. And that's shit you don't forget. I i feel so bad because it's like when I have these good moments with my mom, I really want to cherish them, and I'm like, oh, like I love this, I've craved having this bond with you for so long, for such a long part of my life. But after I get off that call, after that initial high dies down, you think to yourself and you're like, 18-year-old me didn't have that. 18-year-old me
Mm.
still remembers how you treated me. অ্যান্ড যতই হাসি না কেন, যতই অন্য মানুষদের ব্যাপারে একসাথে বেচিং করি না কেন, দোজ ওয়েট সিমেন্টের মধ্যে যে হ্যান্ড প্রিন্টস গুলো না, ওইটা না, ওই যে ওয়ান্স ইট হার্ডেন্স, ইট উইল স্টে লাইক দ্যাট।
Keeps
And
coming
that's what,
back to you
yeah, and that's what I keep
from
saying.
time to
It's
time.
so nuanced, And sometimes I'm like, they say it's tomar parents there, it's their first time living too, so they're gonna make mistakes. I agree, but amaro to, like it's my first time living too. But when I make mistakes, when I do things, you give me so much shit for it. But it's almost like you are like untouchable. And I think, to like end my story, I would say, Jay, one thing I suffer with is often after my dad passed away, whenever I would look at other daughters with their dads, আমার যখন sonsদেরকে দেখি আমার অত গায়ে লাগে না, because it's not like I can see me. But when I see other daughters with their dads, I'm like, I wish mine was here, because I really, really did have. I like to think I had a very special bond with my dad. I was his favorite child. My brother will never agree, but everyone knows. But I mean, না সবসময় যে romanticize করি যখনই কোনো বাবা মেয়েকে দেখি. I don't even have to know their story. They could have a very weird, messed up, very cold on and off relationship. I don't know. And honestly, I don't think it even matters to me. But the fact that they have their dad, I look at it and I'm like, you have no idea how lucky you are. And so sometimes এই যে সেটার জন্য যখন I hear about এই যে মেহের স্টোরিটা, তখন I am like, oh, it's not always sunshine and roses. I think আমাদের একটা জিনিস আছে যে we always think the grass is greener on the other side, but that's not necessarily true. And it's conversations like this that helps me not feel as bad about not having that person in my life, because I'm like, everyone is going through their own shit that you have no idea about. Even if surface it seems like they have this perfect life, they really don't.
So you talking about your dad not being here, as I said, একটু আগে যে my relationship with my mom might not have been like better এখন, but one thing that did improve is my relationship with my dad. Because আগে, like Meher, ওই extent এ না, but he was গায়েব, because like government job, তার posting রাঙামাটি, চিটাগং, কোথায় কোথায়, right? So he was never around, and my mom had like full control of me. আর তাই I was the biggest like mommy's daughter বলতে গেলে. Like even though it was like so toxic, I was still like, because this is the only person I know, the only person who's in my life, right? But back home, I feel like me and my dad, we've gotten so much more closer. Like, I feel like healing, যেটা হওয়ার কথা, that happened. And I know that he's there for me এখন. Even though এখনো সে 24 ঘন্টা বাইরেই থাকে, তাও it's still, I know that কিছু একটা.
And also, as Numa was saying, just seeing other people with their dads, other girls with their dads, she starts feeling the absence of her father or whatever. When she was talking about it, I remembered this very specific thing that happened to me. And even though I was like very little, তখন কত হবে 3-4 বছর আমার, and I remember this one time, I think I was playing with my cousins, ওদের বাসায়. So আমার cousin-এর baba, he comes back home. He has like chocolates and everything. বাসায় আসছে. And his kids, my cousins, they just run to him and he's like playing with them, giving them chocolates. Obviously, yeah, he had a chocolate for me because বাসায় একটা বাচ্চা আছে. But like the way like he enters, he goes to his room, all my cousins are খেলাধুলা বাদ দিয়ে হচ্ছে run to him and he's giving them chocolates, like loving them. And I remember I was standing, their bedroom দরজার ওখানে, I'm standing there and I'm looking at it and I'm just, I don't know, because I didn't know that whole thing, how you have to have a dad and like, you know, and my aunt, their ma, তখন walks in and I'm looking at her and I'm like, why can't I have that with my dad? And and I think they felt bad ওটার পরে, and because I remember তারপর থেকে whenever that ওদের বাবা যখনই বাসায় আসতো, he used to always like include me with them, which felt nice for some time. Because তখনও I didn't have the idea যে আচ্ছা like you have to have a dad and like এরকম usually, because I was constantly watching my cousins and like হ্যাঁ আচ্ছা ওদের আছে but আমার নাই, and I was constantly comparing. So I think that also kind of shaped up my perspective on how a lot of things basically, right? Because ওই experiences গুলা, even though it doesn't matter to you now, because এখন I am in a not a good relationship with my dad, I would say, but it's more jolly. Like we can converse properly. That's all I'm gonna say. Those memories, I still have them, and now that I think about, because তখন I was a kid, I didn't know what was going on. I was like, oh, like I was innocently asking Jay, why can't I have that with my dad? But now that I think about it, এখন, it makes me tear up most of the times thinking Jay acha, like this little kid had to go through all of that and the absence of a father and all of that, right? So yeah, I think the three of us have like very different dynamics with our dads. Because like Numa,
I don't have a dynamic period, bro. Sorry. আমার না কয়েক সময় একটু jokes are my coping mechanism. Don't take it seriously.
I know. Please, Numa, please don't even get me
আমি না
started on
একটা
jokes.
জিনিস হঠাৎ
The
করে
joke
মনে
I
আসছে.
made.
Let's keep that gulp for another day, you know?
That's all for today's Golpo. If you're still listening, congrats. You now know too much, but definitely not enough.
Until next time, it's all fun and Golpo until the shotti kicks in.
এখন মাইক অফ কর ভাই, আমার চা শেষ।